And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today, taking a look at some clips from the news, and having some dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And of course, you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Coffee Talk and Prepper University, and that is at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can also find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Coffee Talk Chat. All these damn ats, I know. And fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon, as we get ready to jump off here into the realm of the ridiculous, which is the world that we are stuck on. This big mud ball in the middle of nowhere, in the boondocks of the universe, as Carl Sagan used to say. Being joined today by Little Girl. I don't want to say it too loud because she does respond to her name. She's sleeping back there in the chair. Little Girl in the chair, and Daniel behind me on the printer. Actually, he's on top of a stack of records that's on top of the printer, but that's my fault. And I do, of course, try to read through as many of the comments as is reasonable for the benefit of those of you who are listening and not able to see. And I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people that have joined us so far. I see that Donna Beaver is here. Says, remember, thumbs up, like, and share. Yes, please do if you can. I appreciate it. Helter is here. Dragon. Cyberjack Senior. Brian is here. New York Patriot. And Scale Diesel is here as well. Again, as we get ready to jump off into the realm of the ridiculous, as I like to say, which is the world that we are forced to live in. Life isn't hard, but the people in it make it that way. Basically, they make it that way. And you are having a very hard time. You are having a very hard time if you happen to be in the United Kingdom right now, which is where we are going to start. We're going to jump across the pond, as they say, and land in jolly old England and take a look at the chaos that's been going on all weekend and is still happening. Telegraph article: far right and Muslims clash in fresh riots. Far right and Muslims. Oh, they got to call them far right. Maybe they're just people who are fed up. You don't have to put that kind of a label on them. Maybe they're just average citizens who've had enough and their government pushed them to it. Chillin' Dave is here, as well as Monkey joining us today. And Brian says stock markets crashed here and in Japan. Yeah, they're having a hard time. We've been led in that direction. So there you go. Violent clashes broke out between far-right rioters and Muslim counter-protesters on Sunday in 6 days, or this is the sixth day, rather, of unrest on Britain's streets. This is happening all over the United Kingdom. The disorder that has spread since the Southport killings showed no sign of abating over the weekend amidst escalating community tensions. In Rotterdam, a hotel used to house asylum seekers was set ablaze, and another in Tamworth was targeted by anti-immigration protesters, anti-illegal immigrant protesters. The United Kingdom, in the United States, we've been really getting ground down for the last 4 years, the last 3.5 years, ever since Biden took office, and the executive branch, the current executive branch of the United States, threw the gates wide open, and we've been getting floods and floods of immigrants, and it's caused, or illegal immigrants, it's been causing us no end of turmoil in the U.S. In the U.K., they've been dealing with it since 2017 at least. All across Europe, really. It was just a matter of time. In Bolton, it says here, Muslim groups shouting Allahu Akbar clashed with far-right rioters. A mob in Middleborough shouted smash the pigs, I guess, and there ain't no black in the Union Jack. I don't know if they really said that or not. while targeting the homes of migrants, while footage on social media from elsewhere in the city appeared to show groups of Asian men attacking white men. Attacking, I haven't heard they've been attacking people's homes, and if they were homes, it's not the same as illegal immigrants. I do know that they've been attacking and targeting and even setting fire to migrant hotels, and I believe a library was burned down as well. Anyone from the UK in here yet? In an emergency address from Downing Street, Sir Keir Starmer warned the rioters would regret taking part and vowed to do whatever it takes to bring these thugs to justice as quickly as possible. And you know, I saw a political cartoon that fits in with this perfectly, where they showed the prime minister sitting at a desk, and the guy says, "Sir, they're rioting in the streets," and then he says, "Well, I'm sure that the poor immigrants have a reason to be upset." And then the officer says, "But sir, they're white people." And he says, "Damn it, send them all to jail, every one of them immediately." And Jane has joined us. Jane Spitfire is here. And so is Marvel Fan, who says the you know what is hitting the fan now. The warden is here. Chillin says Muslim beliefs are contradictory to any other religion, especially Christians. We are a waste of skin, quote, according to them. That is correct. Monkey says, I've seen videos of the people starting to loot stores, which I facepalm at since now the government can go see. Yeah, I told you they're looters in reality. Exactly. That you know, all it takes is one person to do that, and the mob will follow when they get whipped into a frenzy like that, unfortunately. Tuck says, Tuck is here. He says, can't watch. I'll just lurk on the phone call. Okay. And Jane says 13,000 immigrants came from Canada in buses and taxis last Friday. All kinds of people, South American, Africans, Hispanics. It's unsustainable. It cannot continue. It can't continue. The Western world cannot sustain it. And a big part of the problem is, one, they don't contribute. All they do is siphon off tax dollars. Many of them have no intention of continuing. Many of them are criminals escaping so-called justice wherever they might have come from, and they delude the culture. You lose your cultural identity. You know, if you look at old films where there's any kind of jet setting going on, and they go to other countries, every time you go to another country, it's like going to another planet. And that was the whole appeal of going from country to country in Europe. Now you don't know where the hell you are. George Carlin talked about that in the United States, losing some of its cultural identity. He says if it wasn't for the road signs when you drove across America, you wouldn't know where the hell you were anymore, because everywhere you go, you see McDonald's, KFC, Golden Corral, a shopping mall, a gas station, McDonald's, KFC, Taco Bell. And I totally empathize with that. And Americans, as screwed up as they are, they do have a cultural identity, but it's being whittled away as well. That's why it's referred to as an invasion. It is like an invasion, but it's an invasion against culture rather than a military strike. I'm sure a lot of you understand where I'm going from with that. Monkey says they need to focus on the main issue with the migrants coming in illegally by a boat. And Justin Case is here, as well as all people. And he says the meaning of far right equals law-abiding patriots standing up for their rights. And John is here. He says clown show worldwide. And of course, taxation is extortion. And he's also a cat fan. Well, I have two of them in the room with me right now, keeping me company. I don't know where everyone else is. Sleeping somewhere, I'm sure. We're glad you could join us, John. And of course, that taxation is extortion is a phrase I coined. The people usually say it's theft, but it's more like extortion if we're being honest. And all people suggest Muslims make themselves unwelcome everywhere they go. They don't even like each other. I mean, come on, they can't even get along with each other. And Jane says immigrants coming from Canada in buses were sent to New York City. The group looting is horrible. And Puck says stop importing third worlders. So if you import enough of the third world, you become the third world. Look up and down the streets of New York now, they're unrecognizable. Raccoon has joined us. As I try to catch up here, Brian says, if I were a tourist to America, I would want to see American culture, not Middle Eastern. Exactly. And where can you find it now? Where can you find it now as we get back into this? I guarantee this is the same guy talking. He says the police will be making arrests. Individuals will be held on remand. Charges will follow. Convictions will follow. I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, whether directly or those whipping up the action online and then running away themselves. So they're going to track your online connection with this as well. Are you going to go after Hillary Clinton for funding Stop Oil since they've been convicted and sent to jail? Just asking. He added, this is not protest. I won't shy away from calling it what it is, far-right thuggery. The prime minister was warned not to be selective in his response to the groups involved in the disorder. Oh, they're trying to push the prime minister around. That's nice. He said the streets should be flooded with tens of thousands of police, with all leave canceled and officers diverted from unaffected areas to riot hotspots. The ringleaders should be arrested, swiftly prosecuted, and jailed for the longest possible time. Yeah, that's great. You're just burdening taxpayers even further. And I have some footage of this that I can share with you really quick. Jane says Ireland sent their immigrants to England. They should. After everything that England has done to Ireland and Scotland. And Dilo is here. He says, watching on the television. Oh, you're casting? Anyway, since where was it? John likes cats. There they are. There is little girl in the chair behind me, if you can see. And that's actually Daniel right here, sleeping and keeping me company. Sleeping and keeping me company. I do have some a little bit of film footage of this that I can share really quickly. I'll do it without the audio so that I don't have any issues. But yeah, they've gone completely off the deep end in England. They've gone completely off the deep end here in England and the UK altogether, and they've been pushed to it. They've been pushed to it by their government, who is looking out for everyone but them. And it's happening here too. It's happening in Australia, in Canada, Paris, France, obviously, Spain, Italy, name it. And there's only so much you can tolerate when your cultural identity is getting washed away, because they used to talk about, especially around the time of the bicentennial in the United States, which was 1976. America, the great melting pot. That's not exactly true. I mean, it's nice if you can bring people in. If you can bring people in, okay? If they're going to cooperate, if they want to be part of the culture. I mean, you can have your own cultural life as long as you're not forcing it on anyone. That's why you have your Italian American communities and stuff. They used to see this all the time. Little Italy, Little China. There's a Chinatown in downtown Boston, when I grew up. And I've been down there. And you walk through and it's like, and it felt like you're in China. But they kept it right there. And they knew how to mix with the rest of the population. And everything was fine like that. Jane wants to know if the cats have a high rise 5 feet tall with 3 levels. No, I don't have some. I have the cat condos. I have a couple of short ones. I have one that somebody sent me once, a blue one that's kind of nice, and it's got like 2 containers in it. I don't have a big one though. I don't have a really big one, Jane. Bob says Tamworth riot, not a million miles from me. And Brian says, isn't Northern Ireland part of the United Kingdom? Northern Ireland? Because there's a separation in Ireland. There is a separation in Ireland. Fluke Man can help you with that. Fluke Man says, I was going to watch through Rumble, but it won't let me access my account unless I give permission to use my camera and microphone. Why does it need to access them to watch videos? So they can spy on you, Fluke Man. But Fluke Man can explain that a little better about the separation between Northern and Southern Ireland. But again, without sound, or I might get, let me see. Oh, look at this. Get out of here. try to hijack an ad there and get rid of that. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Welcome to the UK, everyone. They're saying Yorkshire or Yorkshire, Yorkshire. Look at all the rocks and bottles being thrown through. People in the UK are tired. Look at this. They burned cars. Two hotels have been burned. The library has been burned down. I heard. I don't know if that's true. A cafe, it says here. People are tired.
We've seen Muslim communities targeted, attacks on mosques, other minority communities singled out, Nazi salutes in the street.
I did not see that in any of the riot footage, by the way, what he just said about the salutes.
Attacks on the police, wanton violence alongside racist rhetoric. So no, I won't shy away from calling it what it is. Far-right thuggery.
It's real easy to talk about that when you're safe behind your desk. Yeah, they're just, they're tired. They're tired. Fluke Man says, I thought Rumble was a lot more honest. Rumble will hem you up too. They're a little better than YouTube. They're hard to navigate though. I can't even access comments. I had such a hard time. I haven't been into Rumble to check it out again for months because I had so much trouble with it. And then hardly anybody watches anyway. Monkey says officially yes, but it's really divided. Oh, talking about Ireland, it can be represented in official soccer matches, but it's really part of the UK like Wales and Scotland. Yeah. People tired. They're tired. They're tired of being ignored. They're tired of having their tax money spent on this. They're exhausted. They're exhausted, and it eventually comes to a boiling point. And that was the boiling point right there. Monkey says, funny enough that the Nazi salute was done by a pro-Palestine Muslim in a pro-Israel rally. That sounds familiar. But I did not see people doing the salute. I did not hear, like he said, very racist rhetoric. I didn't hear any racist rhetoric, not just in that clip, but in any of the footage I've seen. I've seen a lot of like what you saw there where those guys were chanting Yorkshire. Okay. So I don't know where he's getting that from, but, you know, that's part of the spin because he's trying to paint them as victims. And some of them might be, you know, some of them might be there legitimately. Some of them might be there willing to work within the communities, willing to integrate. A lot of them are not, and that's the problem. A lot of them are not, unfortunately, and that is the problem. And Monkey says, and he got arrested right after. You can't do a lot of that in Europe. You know, funny enough, because of all the problems with the what came out of World War II, because a lot of that is remnant from World War II, certain symbols and certain literature and even certain gestures are illegal, say, in Germany, but you can't get circumcised there. That's illegal. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. You can't get circumcised there. While we shift gears, Jane says, take the immigrants to Montana, build factories and homes for them. Oh, no. Montana, huh? I don't want them here at all. If they're not going to contribute, I don't want them here at all. If they're going to come here and they want to be part of the culture and learn the language and contribute, which would be expected of anybody going to any other country other than a Western country in today's era, in the last 10 years or so, or the last 15 years, really. No other country would tolerate it except for a Western country in today's world. The Hill article, I find this to be very hypocritical. U.S. struggles to rally international opposition to the Venezuelan election fraud. Venezuelan election fraud. So it's okay if it happens here, but if anyone else does it, the U.S. is going to rally global support. Major global groups are finding it difficult to overtly condemn apparent fraud in Venezuela's presidential election, with key member states instead playing defense for President Nicolas Maduro. The Organization of American States and the European Union topped the list. Both organizations were barreling towards full-throttled censure of Maduro until the Venezuelan regime allies stepped in. In Europe, Hungary's authoritarian-friendly government blocked an EU statement expressing concerns about flaws and irregularities in the election. Joseph Borrell, the EU's foreign policy chief, or is it Borrell, later released the statement under his own name. Across the pond, Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia, the three largest Latin American countries by population, led the push to give Maduro a pass. Quote, the irony of all this, obviously, is that Colombia, Mexico, and Brazil, all those leaders who were democratically elected, but yet they fail to somewhat apply those same democratic principles to another country, in this case, Venezuela, said Eddie Acevedo, chief of staff and senior advisor at the Winston Center. You know what? Maybe Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil want to mind their own damn business and concern themselves with what's going on in their own country instead of worrying about Venezuela or somewhere else. Maybe some of the Western nations ought to try that for a change. Just saying. Just saying. Puck says, obviously, Maduro is not a CIA-approved candidate. Oh, my God. Monkey said they've seen videos of people that live out in rural Japan. This guy is an Australian, and they say that if you live there, expect at minimum to know some basic Japanese and expect to help the community with farming, cleaning up the town, etc. Yeah, exactly. You got to participate. If you join a community, you should participate. You should participate. And these people are not. They're killing us. They're tearing up. They're stealing. They're damaging things. They're just destroying property, and they're living off tax dollars. It's too much. It's just way too much. And again, I think it's kind of interesting that the America and the European, most of the European community, European Union, let's just put it that way, want to condemn him for the possibility of election fraud. Where was the outcry when there was suspicion in the United States in 2020? Where was that? And some of you might remember the graphs that I showed last week, where the voting graph for Georgia's runoff election from last year, the Wisconsin and where was it? Michigan primaries for the 2020 presidency were identical, and that the election for Venezuela matched all three of those graphs, and all three of them Dominion software. All four of them, rather. Well, all three graphs, all four elections. And now there's an outcry here. There was no outcry when we did it, except from Russia. And, you know, oddly enough, and here's a little trivia for you, in Russian history books, current ones, where it talks about Donald Trump, it says in the Russian textbooks that Trump was cheated in the 2020 election through voter fraud. Who knew that? Jane says, oh, he's talking to Monkey. Let me just, yeah, Jane says, good point. Do not, if they don't contribute, they must leave. It's a good idea. Yeah, repatriate them, as they say. That's the politically correct way to put it, to put evicting them from the country. Repatriation. Put them on a charter flight, send them back where they came from. Send them back where they came from. But yeah, now there's an outcry because it's Venezuela. And then they want to condemn other South American countries for not wanting to get involved. So Venezuela's a mess. I got my own country to run. Leave me alone. I can respect that. Honestly, Mexico's got enough problems. Have you been to South America lately? Brazil's got enough problems. Colombia has enough problems without worrying about Venezuela. I mean, seriously, what do you want? What do you want? But, oh, now there's concern. Now they want, and you know, basically what they're boiling down to is they want the U.S. to go in there and start on another front. Start on another front, as if we don't have enough to do, as if we're not spread thinly enough. And I had warned of that, like sometime last year, we were reading articles about Venezuela, and I was like, it's just a matter of time. And I could just see boots on the ground in Venezuela with U.S. assets. You know, we're already tied up in Ukraine. We're already tied up in Israel. We're getting tied up in Taiwan again. How much longer before we end up in Venezuela as well? Puck says some do contribute by taking your job. Oh, there won't be no jobs for them. That's going away because mostly the only thing they can do, is, let me pause this. Mostly the only things that they can do is like media labor stuff. And that's going away. Let me share this real quick. See if anybody recognizes this. If anybody recognizes this. And this is a video. I'm going to play it in a moment. This is taken with somebody's cell phone camera, and it's circulating online right now. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what city this is being tested in. Monkey says, bonus tidbit relating to the Australian guy living in rural Japan. He's opening up a cat cafe within the next year, and it includes all of the strays that come by his residence. Okay. I empathize. Maybe I should open a cat cafe. No, there's nobody out here, so nobody would come. But maybe it would help the cats. And Fluke Man said, Russia has more honesty to Americans than some Americans to other Americans, and that's confusing. No kidding. But I'm going to run this video here really quickly. Watch this. You'll get a kick out of this. If you want to talk about people taking jobs. And there it is. Monkey says, DoorDash robot. Yup. And this particular one, Monkey is correct. Monkey is correct, actually. People think he's joking. That is a DoorDash robot, and that one is designated specifically for Chick-fil-A. See? I'll play it again. See, somebody caught this. And I forget where this is being tested. It's a drone. A mobile drone. So if this pilot program works out, you'll see DoorDash go away. Because they're not going to, why pay people to do it when you can get this thing? And drop off your Chick-fil-A to the person's address. Let's see if I can pause it right here. Look at him. Oh, I missed it. I keep missing it. And Jane says, California is filled with immigrants from Russia. I was shocked in North Carolina. And Warden wants to know, is charter flight the PC term for catapult? Yeah, there you go. I'll catch it this time. Makes the turn because it's allowed to drive in the street. Again, it's a robot. It's a drone. It's got Chick-fil-A orders inside. And it's a pilot program. Again, I forget what city this is. Let me catch it right there. Now you can really see it. And Raccoon says a robot won't spit on your food. He won't eat any of it either. It won't eat your food either. I should do an entire extended video just on stuff that's being replaced. Because so far, I mean, I've shown... yeah, Puck, good point. He says immigration without assimilation is an invasion, according to Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was a bastard, but he's right about a lot of things. I've shown these, including the flying drones that KFC uses to drop off a single order. I've seen, I have shown the drywall robots, the hotel room cleaning robots, the bathroom cleaning robots. There's the painting robots, the interior and exterior painting robots, and so on. And Marvel says, haven't seen the drones here, but I think many people here would just destroy them. Surprised that's not a thing. I don't know. They don't mess too much with those security drones in the malls, at least not in the U.S. Monkey says it's likely from Chick-fil-A rather than DoorDash. Yeah, Jane, they're drones dropping off food. It eliminates another job. So a lot of money has been poured into the DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of that. If this can go nationwide, then you won't need them anymore. A Marvel fan next says next 10 years, so many will be out of work due to automation. And you recall, and I brought it up before, that's how I ended up finally losing my job at Frito-Lay. That's how I ultimately lost my job at Frito-Lay, was because of robots. What is this? Now it's telling me that yeah. I had another let me see if I can get this to work properly. Because they kept replacing oh wow, it's crashing. I'm trying to pull up a video on Chinese commandos, and it's blocking me from opening the window, opening it up. It's blocking me from opening it. Let me see. Let me try another one. Maybe this will open. That's kind of funny. Yeah, suddenly nothing wants to work. Am I still on? Am I still on? Because it's kind of interesting that every news story I'm trying to open on this. Here we go. I got one open. I've tried several. This doesn't have any of the pictures though. Basically, Chinese commandos video footage has surfaced. It's not letting me show the. I've tried like 3 or 4 different news sites, and every one I open up, it says, page seems to be missing. They're Chinese Navy commandos riding electric skateboards, like the big I forget what they call them, the boards with the big wheels. And New York Patriot says still listening. They're riding electric skateboards and being accompanied by drones that look and fly like real birds. They look and fly like real birds. And for some reason, every article I open on it now, because my article crashed, every one I opened, it's not there. It says that something happened to the image, or something happened to the website, and I'm trying to find one that still works. Here we go. I think I got one. China must not want you to see this. That's what he's saying. Patriot says the CCP doesn't want us to see training tactics. Oh my God. And Puck says the reason why other Arab countries don't take in some of these migrants is because they're already Islamic. Yeah. Well, they don't like each other. That's why they kick them out and send them everywhere else. That's where the so-called Palestinians came from. They're refugees from everywhere else all over the Middle East. And they got funneled into that area deliberately to be a disruption to Israel. And the Iranian president in the 70s admitted to it. It's a live interview where he said they did that. It was like Iran and Iraq and whoever forced those people there to cause Israel problems. There was no one out there. There was no one out there before the 70s. But here we go. DNYUZ station. China's naval commandos rode electric skateboards into a combat exercise with drones disguised as birds. And some of you can see that shot there. It'll expand. I don't think it'll let me expand it. And this, as I understand it, this was live fire exercises. And you see these boards, I forget what kind of skateboard they call that when it's got the big fat wheels, but these are electric powered. They're electric powered skateboards, so they don't have to use their foot. So China's special forces showcased electric skateboards, jet surfboards, I saw that, and other gadgets in a combat demonstration. Chinese military TV aired the live fire exercise, which was held at the Nansheng Infantry Academy in Jiangxi to commemorate People's Liberation Army's 97th anniversary. Several soldiers from the Jialong Commandos, an elite amphibious unit under the Chinese Navy, were shown riding jet-powered surfboards into a garden lake. One commando launched a winged drone designed to resemble a sparrow. Later, half-dozen commandos armed with assault rifles excited a tree line on powered skateboards, which a state TV narrator said were electric. Do they have pictures of the birds? They don't have pictures of the birds. I wanted to show them because they do look like birds. Now it's doing this. Look what it did. The article disappeared, and I got this. Christina Hall and Josh Hall are getting divorced. Oh, my God. Flukeman said, did you hear about Chinese UN got their asses handed to them in a gunfight somewhere in Africa? No, I did not hear that. And Puck says the Islamatization of Europe is almost complete, still working on America. Still working on America. Maybe I can get this to work. Newsweek. Okay. Nope. Incredible. I found a Newsweek article about it, and I tried to open it, and it says article cannot be accessed. That is really suspicious. That is really suspicious. I've not had this much trouble. Let me see if I can find a picture of it. I don't know what to tell you guys. freezing up. I'm having trouble transitioning with. I'm having transitioning. All right, I'll have to close. It's not going to let me do anything. Okay, here we go. I'm moving again. I closed the dialog box and now Restream is working again. Jericho says that's so crazy how articles disappear. Unbelievable. Anyway, Monkey says the problem from what the Chinese military has is being too overtrained, being fed very little, practically not even getting the daily amounts of nutrients the military. So literally, they're training like they're in hell. And Jericho says that's so covert. What the hell? But there, yeah, I saw the drones. They look like a bird. It's like about 6 or 7 inches long. Wings actually flap. That's how it flies. And the tail turns for direction, just like a bird would. And so up in the air, and it's painted like feathers. So up in the air, you wouldn't tell. It can help you. Or I mean, it can help you. It can fool you. It can easily fool you. And Jane says, I had YouTube send me a stop talking about July 13th since using both name of 2 shooters. I've been seeing things, and it's so much now. It's there's so much now coming out about it. You don't know what to believe anymore. I've heard there might be as many as 3 people involved, and not just Thomas. You don't know what to believe anymore. It's kind of like that whole thing with Khalif, the boxer, and the whole intrasex thing with the Olympics. They've muddied it so much you don't know what to believe anymore. The thing that kills me though is they show these pictures that are supposed to be this guy as a child, and you're like, look, see, he was a little girl, he's a female, he's a woman. But then you see him as an adult looking like a dude in a t-shirt and shorts with a male haircut with his arm around his buddies, which would not be allowed in his community. Even his personal trainers, boxing trainers, are all wearing hijabs. A female wouldn't be allowed to look the way he does and do the things that he does. But wow, what's going on with this? The next article I was trying to access, this one isn't opening now either. Something's going wrong. I wonder if the problem is Microsoft, because over the last couple of weeks, Microsoft has had now 3 crashes. 3 crashes. Because I just tried to open one about the Olympics, and Semper Fi has just joined us. I just tried to open one about the Olympics because the whole thing with the triathletes has just gotten worse. The whole business with the triathletes has just gotten worse because now they're getting sick, and one has been hospitalized with a severe case of E. coli. So it's just more embarrassment to the Paris Olympics. It's really rounding off to be the worst Olympics in history since the terrorist attack that took place at the Olympics in the 1970s. This is the most embarrassing, like their most embarrassing moment here. And Jane says fake and real news is confusing for readers. It helps save the secrets. Exactly. And Flukeman says, makes me wonder how Khalif gets W. W what? What does W stand for? But yeah, I've seen pictures of Khalif with the trainers, and they're all wearing hijabs, but he looks like a dude. Hair out, short cut, very short cut hair, wearing a t-shirt and shorts out in public, stuff that would not be permitted in his community if he was indeed female. And Sven says that men make the best female athletes. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. And Jericho says it's not surprising how articles and pages aren't working with what's going on in the markets. The Microsoft thing you just mentioned, and now the battles occurring with China, Russia, and the Middle East. Marvel fan says won't go into details, but I've been stockpiling up on supplies and just be ready for anything. Absolutely. Jane says you could be Microsoft, but malware for health and savings account has gone haywire. And Fluke Man elaborating, makes me wonder how Khalif gets away with it in his community. There you go. Surprise, he's not in the hospital. I have no idea. But because maybe he doesn't present himself as a female within his community. I don't know. I really don't know how this person's been getting away with it. And the big confusion was what he was first referred to as trans, which he's technically not trans. He's intersex because he's a type of hermaphrodite. We've talked about that before, but technically, genetically speaking, and obviously physically, he's male. So everybody arguing about trying to understand all of that has just made everything more confusing. More confusing. Monkey says Munich. Yeah, that's right. The Munich Olympics with the terrorist attacks. Big hole in security at that time. Puck says latest Judicial Watch video has cell phone footage shot from behind Trump to his left. You can clearly see the shooter walking across the roof and taking a position, but the Secret Service didn't see it. Yeah, we showed that video last week. I showed that video last week, and it's like, okay, keeping in mind that as they spotted this and then they looked, hey, wait, where'd that guy go? Oh, here he is. He's standing up over here. That person is directly under where the counter snipers were positioned. And Baki says he wanted a good hot wife, some land, and some kids. Too much to ask from life, I guess. It takes a lot of work, and it's hard to find the right person. Most people are assholes. They're bad. They're evil. They're mean. They're cruel, and they're dishonest. It's hard to find a good, honest person. Fluke Man says, would you change operating system to Linux? Think they're more trustworthy. Yeah, a lot of stuff doesn't like to cooperate with Linux, though. You know, and all of the computer equipment I have already had Windows installed. Windows installed. But, you know, back to the whole thing about China and their military exercises, I think it's just kind of funny that we have, you have Chinese riding electric skateboards in live fire exercises with drones that look like real birds. And over here, they're taking classes to teach them not to be concerned with what a male and a female is, because after all, soldiers aren't biologists. And Ladybug is here, says listening while working. Excuse me. And Marvel fan says love women, but unless they can pass all the tests and be up to par, they shouldn't be involved in presidential details. Oh, talking about Kamala Harris there. Kamala Harris, a.k.a. Kamala. I've heard both. I'm pretty sure Kamala is the correct pronunciation now. No. No, not Kamala Harris. Excuse me. He's talking about the former director of the Secret Service. Well, that person was a diversity hire. She was a diversity hire whose job it was to create more diversity hires, because her number one platform was that she she was going to create an environment in the Secret Service by which 30% of their personnel was female by 2030. So she was going to replace 30% of the Secret Service with women. You see how well that worked out. Now she no longer has a job. Now she no longer has a job as a result of that because there were too many errors. As a matter of fact, so many errors that there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there that it was set up that way deliberately. And I guess I will just have to just keep talking because nothing else will work. Nothing else seems to work. The links keep crashing as I try to access different articles. And Jane says maybe she was not trained properly. Well, she was in the Secret Service starting from 1995 up until some point, and then she left the job and went to work for PepsiCo in the Frito-Lay division. Yeah, none of my articles will open. They're all crashing now. But I don't know that she was ever a field agent at all. I see no evidence of it. Marvel fan says every agent can be female if they are just as badass as a Navy SEAL or Silmar. The world is just too crazy. Or similar, I think he meant to say. Similar. And Tuck says, I don't know what we're talking about, but I hope you all have a great day. Yeah, I know. We were talking about the currently right there, the director of, or the former director of the Secret Service, who was forced to resign because of the failure to properly set up for what happened with Donald Trump. She was a diversity hire who, again, was there to incorporate other diversity hires. I mean, you saw the females at that event. They weren't even tall enough to properly protect the president. A bodyguard should at least be the same height as the client, for the obvious reason that they may end up being a human shield. You had the one agent hiding when shots rang out. You saw her on stage. She ducked down behind everybody while everyone else dogpiled Trump. She couldn't holster her weapon. Cyberjack says David broke the internet. Yeah, I must be. And Jane says that she's having trouble. She can't get a search through either. And Fluke Man said, did she start as a meet and greet at the main entrance? I'm not sure. But as I was pointing out, I was watching an interview with somebody who, I talked about it last week. They work in Vegas at venues, and they've seen a lot of celebrities over the last couple of decades either setting up shows or attending shows, and they have never seen a female bodyguard, not one, never. Something to think about. Puck says Cheadle's replacement is an idiot too. Jane says cannot search on Google. Yeah, see, it's not just me then. It's not just the Chinese trying to block. There's something bigger going on. And it could be another failure on the part of Microsoft, because Microsoft has had three crashes over the last couple of weeks. The first one being the biggest one that affected things globally. And Marvel fan says, oh, what is he saying? Marvel fan had a lot to say, apparently. Where are we here? I always say this: if you have small kids, would you rather have 10 females guard them or 10 ex-Navy SEALs? Or if in a burning building, send 5 large men or 5 females to save you? They have female firefighters, but I've never seen one. doing what the males do. I've never seen one running around on a roof or going into a burning building or even being at the head of a hose, holding down a hose. Because you know that the end of that hose is a two-man job. And Puck wants to know if the chubby lesbian that couldn't holster her weapon still has a job. I don't know, but as I understand it, she was probably from the DHS. She was probably from the Department of Homeland Security because they borrowed agents for the event. Jane says all women in the military need to be like Demi Moore and G.I. Jane. There are no female Navy SEALs. There are no female Rangers or Green Berets or jet fighter pilots because none of them can pass the physical strain. And Jericho says he's amazed YouTube is even up if Google isn't working right. Yeah, and there could be other problems because there's stock market crashes too, which I can't even get to because none of my links are working. Puck says when they turn off the internet, there will be mass panic and despair. Yeah, people will be jumping out of windows. It'll be like when the stock exchange crashed in the 20s. And Scale Diesel says that Microsoft has always sucked a big one. Yeah, but they make plenty of money, don't they? They got plenty of money. Microsoft raked in the cash. Yes, they did. As we're getting close to the top of the hour. And sorry that happened. Sorry that we had all those issues. It's not really my fault. But that's the way it is. Marvel fan says he works around Camp Lejeune. They see female Marines a lot, and they're trained way different. Yeah, it's a different scale completely. And all they can do to make it equal is lower the standards, and that's caused nothing but problems over the years. But hey, there we go. I've still got little girl laying in the chair behind me there. She looks nice and comfortable. I've still got Daniel. He's asleep right here on top of it's a stack of vinyl records on top of my printer there because I didn't move them yet. But with that, we are at the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Coffee Talk, and Prepper University. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Coffee Talk Chat over there, and fistfulofradio.com. So I will say thank you, everybody who was able to join us here today. Hope you got something out of the conversation.